Well, good evening. You're very welcome to Inside Line Racing for round number 8 of ILR6 here at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. My name is Graham. I'm going to do my best to bring you the action from one of F1's most iconic tracks, the Speedway, the Temple of Speed, the Italian Grand Prix. Should be interesting, should be fun. We've got a dry qualifying, I believe a dry race in store as well, so no weather to bail out drivers on this occasion, but I believe Don Rajib is going to be the first one on a flying lap. He's actually getting a little bit of tow here from his teammates straight away, so that might help him somewhat in his opening qualifying lap. He is on super soft, so we can get all to all that strategy goodness later on, but as he's making his way around and everyone else is either beginning their laps or venturing on their out laps, we can go through the standings. And well, at one stage after Austria, it was looking pretty poor in terms of a title race, but that is now firmly back in back in the conversation, because now King MJ is only 3 points ahead of XCI Dan, who is on 113 points, trailing King MJ on 116 points. Then just 9 points further behind that, 104 points, it is Don Rajib in third. So just a matter of 12 points then between first and third race. The title race really is back in terms of being something entertaining and to keep an eye on as we now wind down to the last 4 races of this shortened ILR season. That looked very close there behind between it's a Renault and there is a Red Bull. Is that Noel? Is that Ryan? It is Noel, and he's going to have to back off in the end, so we won't be too impressed by that. In 4th place though, best of the rest, is MK Bourne at the moment. He's on 52 points, 1 point ahead of Noel Petrick, we just saw there in 5th place, and then Bastos then in 6th on 46th for the constructors. Ferrari still lead the way quite convincingly as Uwapmate goes quicker to the 19.9 first man into the sub-minute, sub 80 seconds rather. Ferrari lead the way, 162 points, 44 ahead of Renault now in second on 118, ahead of Mercedes then on third on 110, and Toro Rosso then on 58. Best of the so-called rest. So that's where things stand. Uwapmate's got the ball rolling with a 19.9, just sneaking in by a few thousandths. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, send a prediction. We've got a retirement already in terms of Johnny, so he's early out in the Force India. Actually, I think he might have had a qualifying ban. Actually, he's starting from the back. I know someone mentioned pre-race that was the case. I apologise for missing that, but where is Dan? There he is. Actually, I was just about to find him. He's in 2nd place, 20.3, couple 1 tenth ahead of Don Rajibo, who is actually looks like he's on an outlap by the looks of it. Where is the Ferrari of King MJ? He's getting close to the first. He's at the first Lesmo. Okay, the race for the second one. I think he's actually on a off lap. But these two. Okay. The Red Bull pulls in. IRT Johnny carries on. He's actually just maybe starting a lap. Let's see if you can pick up. Ooh, big hint of understeer there for Suleiman as he heads through Ascari. It's the last thing you need coming through the Ascari chicane is a whole big dose of understeer. We'll go through a proper lap with later on in the session with someone, kind of show you what kind of the ins and outs and where you lose time and where's the most important place to hook it up for this qualifying lap around Monza. You can overtake here, so your overtaking opportunities aren't too limited. Let's see then, King MJ started the lap time. Let's actually go on board with this, to be fair, as he heads down towards turn 1. A heavy braking zone just before the 100 meter board hits that apex 1. Much easier to do so this year compared to last year, where the curbs are a little bit seem to be a little kinder this year compared to last year. That Monza turn 1 and 2 took it very nicely, and then curve of Grande, you want to try and hug it just to shorten the actual distance you're traveling. The big part of the lap here is this chicane. You want to take this inside curb just like that, and careful not to take too much on the exit, because you can easily either end up cutting the second part of that chicane, or if you are on too early, you can have understeer and you go onto the gravel on the left hand side, and that's quite detrimental to your lap. Decent Lesmo. Second Lesmo could have been a bit tighter to the right hand side, but this is not a bad lap so far from the Ferrari. I think he's actually backed off a lap, to be fair, but we'll stick with it. Scary then, another make or break in your lap. Really want to take as much of that inside as you can. Try and hook the outside curve then and back into the inside. Try to run too wide like in that instance there. And then the run down then towards Parabolic. An easy corner to get wrong, to be fair. Much easier than you might anticipate, but I think this is an aborted lap anyways. Nice and tight. Unwind then on the exit. used to be on the outside, and then you can go on to cut back in for the shortest distance possible then for that lap. So that was a theoretical lap of Monza. We can kind of have a look at one later on, kind of getting closer to the more serious stuff. That's a good time for Bastos. 21.1 on the softs isn't too bad. Not a ton of people actually got laps in. You look, half the grid basically have not set a lap time yet. As Smudge then is out. That's Ryan Berry, the top four. Like, that's a good time for Ryan Berry. 20.9. I do expect laps to kind of keep tumbling. Johnny's actually saying he was confident that he was in the chat here. He's actually confident of a couldn't puck off on the pole if he didn't have to start from the back. So we should see, like, generally speaking, you know, if you're out of position, as long as you don't lose too much time going through traffic, you can kind of show your true pace as such. Even though even starting 18th at the very least, it's going to be tough for Johnny back there. Oh, there's a car off the road. That is Speed Iceman. I think it's actually lagging about. You can still actually make good progress around this track. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. You can go aggressive. You can go for the softs to start. And that's, you know, that brings us up to strategy. Look, it's supers to softs really is what you want to try to be aiming for. Lap 11-ish or so on the supers. If you're starting on them, as their lane there, possibly 21.6 on medium. So these two McLarens looking pretty nifty on the, on the medium tyre. That's a very interesting prospect. See what they decide to do come closer to the end of the session, if they want to do softs or bolt on a set of supers. So it's an interesting kind of conundrum. I do think if you're kind of in this kind of range, 16, 17, kind of, if you're back here and you know you've got pace, whip on the softs, go long, go to lap 16, 17 on those softs, and even 15 if you're good on the tires, and then just let rip on these supers. And I think the positions will be certainly much easier to come by in the last stint of the race. But I think Dom Rajiv was actually on a lap if one thing, doesn't run completely over the limits, as Speed Iceman out of this session as well. That's more like it. 19.6 for Don Rajiv, takes provisional pole position. Mate is just actually beginning his lap now. XCI Dan looks like he's on a lap. Let's see how he takes Ascari. Again, one of the absolute keys to name this lap is a very committed Ascari. Misses the apex slightly, will have cost him a bit of time. Be careful on that. You can take part of that curve on exit, but if you take too much, it kind of can launch you up. If you have firmer suspension on your settings, on your setup, it can launch you a little bit further off, and that can just put you in a bit of a wiggle heading out of Ascari, and after that then not a ton of road to correct yourself, and you can easily end up in the wall. And I speak from personal experience. Dan then 20 flat rather, just about 20 flat, just misses out on the 19th and just missing out on second place by extension, which is currently held by the Force India of Uwat. I think, yes, he's slowing down now towards this, towards Parabolica. See if anyone else is on a lap. Ryan Berry looks like he's on a lap. Lord Elephant then, there you go, that's more like a 20.1 for the sister Mercedes. Had a better outing as such, well, at least in qualifying last time out for Lord Elephant, but kind of fell off in the race. Fell off, I think he actually retired, if my memory serves right. But he's in 4th place at the moment, so he needs to string a good race here. Got some pace, but needs to put it together in the actual race. Got a lot of people into the pits at the moment, kind of on an outlap as well. Guys getting ready for their second run on their supers, including King MJ, who's the slowest of the guys who have set time so far. Still only 11 drivers have set time, and 3 of them will not set time because, well, they're out between Speed Iceman, Johnny, and ILRT Smudge. So maybe not the worst time for Johnny to be starting at the back in that case. But here's Dan. I'm not sure if he's on another lap. You don't want to take. You kind of don't want to. You want to limit your running on supers in qualifying. You don't really want to do a ton of laps if you can avoid it, because you do. You know, if you want to try and make this super to soft work, it kind of does depend on you taking as little dealing out as little punishment as possible. That's very wide for Lord Elephant. That surely will be an validation, and he dives into the pits. You want to take as little out of them as you can in qualifying to kind of give yourself the best chance in the race, because again, it's you do 2 or 3 laps on supers in this session, and you're gonna feel it. You know, lap 9 or so, lap 8 and 9, you're gonna feel that wear. Whereas some of the guys will be able to, you know, bit let obviously if you start on super outside the top 10, which is entirely in play here because again it's the softest compound is a usable tire here. You know, you put yourself at a disadvantage if you do too much. Is a very long way of saying what I wanted to say. But here is King MJ rounding. This is Bassett, the other Ferrari, rounding the final corner, and it is an improvement to 20.9. Could have left a bit of time on the table, but just in terms of his approach then towards out of the parabolica kind of and towards the finish line, just took a longer route and just used more track time, or used more track, and hence extended his time before he crossed that start finish line. Could have maybe saved himself maybe half a tenth or something had he just cut a bit more out of that that last chicane. I think he actually could be on a second lap though. So ERS management in here is kind of touch and go. I think you do need to use high once or twice throughout the lap if you can, to try and if you want to try and hook two flying laps up together. Again, tyre wear, you don't want to be doing too much of that, as there's a Noel Petrick then popping into 7th place for missing the chicane. Suleiman still in 6th. Pinsky then pops up to 2nd, and he was confident heading into this one. That's a 19.9, 200s ahead of you Opmate and a couple other ahead of Dan there in 4th. So that's a good time for the Williams driver, who's looks like it could be his best opportunity for a good, in terms of a top-notch result. He's kind of been he's been to and fro, kind of been an inconsistent season for Pinsky, but that is certainly a great place to be starting out so far anyways, with 4.5 minutes already remaining in this session as the other Ferrari goes into the pits then. And still King MJ's not put a representative lap time in, and he is 17th at the moment. He's last of everyone who has set lap time, so he needs to really get himself together in this final run. This is his 3rd super run now, and if he doesn't hook this one up right, it could be the consequences are, dare I say, disastrous, given that there are 2 runners for the title very in close proximity behind him. That's probably not how you want to take the Ascari chicane. A bit too much on the curb and entry, a bit too much on exit in terms of exceeding the track limits and cutting the corner. Probably won't be I mean I'm nothing surprises me with this game really in terms of its consistency, but he is going to pull into the pits then. The 2 McLarens have come out, so the 2 McLarens that look like they are going to kind of do the soft run. Excuse me. So interesting choice. I think they're the only ones, at least there's still time of course for them to come back in and set a time on supers, but it looks like they're the only 2 who are going to try this alternate strategy, going for the softs, see if they can hook themselves into the top 10, which I think is definitely in play, because 21.5, 21.6, they're on, that was set on mediums. I'm sure they can find half. Oh, there's a big crash as MK Bourne. Oh, he's lost the rear. How rare is that? That's a big one coming out of Ascari. Oh dear. Caught the end of that. Well, he might be able to get that Toro Rosso at the very least now that he cannot improve on his time, but that was a spectacular accident. Fascinating stuff. So anyways, I believe Sir Lane, who's actually just coming across that incident now, I think he's actually backed off on this lap, and it looks like he'll have another go. He's just backed off in the ERS there by the looks of it, unless of course it's wrong. We'll see as he rounds and parabolic, and he is coming into the pits then, so he maybe might put on a late set of supers. We'll find out, but if he does, it's conceivable he could end up easily in the top 5, Sir Lane. Same goes for his teammate as well. Same story. Soft tyres on the moment. He just says fastest time on mediums. Could be a very similar case as he makes his way through Ascari. Runs very wide on exit. I wonder if that will be counted as a proper lap time. I wonder if he'll dive into the pits then as well. They got to hurry. He's got to hurry. Actually, to be fair, he doesn't have time. If he comes into the pits, he will not have enough time to get back out again and set a lap time on super, so he's kind of stuck then, whereas Sir Lane might get away with it. So he's got to try again. Iceman Sella. Did he? No, I didn't take it. Okay, his fast lap is still on softs, or mediums rather, so, but there's a bit of a traffic jam now because he's quite close to Bastos. There's another car behind him. I think it is Mercedes and Lord Elephant, no, which means it is Don Rajib, who is on an out lap, so he's not on the flying lap. As Pinsky rounds the final corner, all the top 5 on fresh supers. King MJ has finally got himself a lap together. A 1:20.2. It's only good enough for 6th at the moment. Now he should have to get a move on if he wants to get one more lap in, because at the moment it's 1:20-ish lap time. He's only around turn 1 and 2, so he's going to have to kind of to keep a brisk pace as Lord Elephant is starting his flying lap, then keep a decent pace if he wants to try and get it across the line for another lap. So whether he will have time, we'll find out. He's definitely saving the ERS, but we'll see how he gets on. As well, they're all on the track basically, apart from everyone who's retired. So Lane looks like he did get out. I'm not sure if he'll have enough time. Where is he on track? Ooh, I don't think he's going to... maybe. It's going to be very touch and go. He's going to have to treat it as like a flying lap if it isn't already too late. But let's see then, with 30 seconds left. Bastos coming across the line. And it's a 20.4, but it looks like it's an invalid 20.4. Iceman Selenan does improve on his softs. 20.6, it's good enough for a 9th place at the moment. Noel Petrick is in traffic and cuts the corner, and that will surely be an invalidation for him, but he will have time, I think. Oh, it's going to be very tight. Suman was tired, 20.6. Oh, there's a massive accident. There's a Force India, which I think is Uwap Mage. There's a Williams. It's not Pinsky, it's Monkey Meg. Pinsky then coming across to set his lap time. It's a 19.8. Sorry, yeah, the 19.8. He does improve, but not good enough for pole position. That's going to be him then, I think, sorted. So that's a big accident there. So Uwap Mage will not get a chance to improve in that time. Dan has to back out of his lap because actually I think he was on lap anyways because of the ERS deployment there. But there's a car in the middle of the road. So a lot of qualifying laps are being absolutely scuppered. King MJ pulls into the pits. He's going to be P7 at the very least. The very most rather. Lord Elephant pulling in as well. Dan will do the same. So really it comes down to where is so Iceman Sella's not on the lap. Bastos I think is on a lap. So a lot of these final laps have been scuppered through one yellow flag or another. Don Rajiv then looks like he's going to take pole position. Can Bastos do anything about it? No, he's going to pull into the pits, and surely then it's going to be a safe one then for Don Rajiv, who I think is actually out of fuel. So a bit of an anticlimactic qualifying session there in the end. But it looks like then that is it, with Pinsky's on a cooldown lap. That is our grid for this Italian Grand Prix. There are some shots being fired in the YouTube links or the YouTube chat. But there you go. Then Don Rashid, then the best seat in well, actually you could argue it's the best seat in the house. We'll talk about that more on the formation lap. But he is going to be in pole position then, quite convincingly in the end. Ended up being 2/10 ahead of Pinsky then. And there's a lot of people not happy with the how proceedings went in qualifying. Yeah, Uwap Mage I think in particular is pretty upset with Monkey Meg. I didn't see the accidents, but yeah, didn't. Well, apparently Suleiman's car didn't go, so as well as that further equation. I think that was a separate incident elsewhere. I think where Suleiman went off. No idea where he went off. I think that was a separate incident in its own right. So yeah, a lot of people are not happy with their running. So it should make for an interesting race. Actually, just reading King MJ's DRS was actually broken through that session. That would definitely explain his lack of pace. Rather, I did notice his first lap he didn't have it open, but I just assumed he was on maybe validated his lap maybe, or whatever the case was. But broken DRS is not beneficial around Monza. I could not recommend. So yeah, a lot of people out of position, a lot of people not happy, but we'll see how they get on. But it is Don Rajiv on pole position ahead of Pinsky in second, Uwap Mate then in third, XCI Dan fourth, Suleiman in fifth, Lord Elephant sixth, King MJ then's got work to do in seventh, NASA in a good qualifying in eighth, Noel Petrick in ninth, Iceman Sala is the only one on softs in the top 10, Bastos 11th, Ryan Berry 12th, MK Bourne 13th, Sir Lane 14th, Monkey Meg 15th, Danscar 16th, Johnny 17th, Speed Iceman 18th, You're the Johnny in 19th, and ILRT Smudge in 20th place to round out the grid. So it should be an interesting race indeed. Top 10 basically all the same strategy apart from obviously Iceman Sella. Be interested to see who's taking better care of their tyres in qualifying. It looks like an overcast conditions, but I am told it's going to stay dry. So I don't think rain is going to be a factor in this race. And what a race I think it's going to be a very good race. There's a lot of people out of position. Obviously the championship still to play for by 3 drivers. Any predictions for the race win? Hey, send them in. See if you're right by the time the race ends here, because usually safety cars and weather providing, this race kind of does fly by. It does not take long for a race around Monza to elapse. You're only 27 laps. It's a short track. It's a short lap time basically for the speed you're traveling. Yeah, it should be a very interesting race. But the drivers then choosing their strategies, their setups, what left they can do of a setup rather, by which they can change the front wing, they can change the differential, the brake bias, and that's about it. So interesting, right? So we know Iceman Sella, we know the top 9 are on supers from qualifying. We know Iceman Sella is on softs from his qualifying in the top 10. Bastos then going for the mediums from 11th is an interesting choice. Ryan, MK Bourne, Sir Lane, Monkey Meg, ILRT, Johnny and Johnny R95 are all on softs, which is a sensible choice, I think. Danskar's gone a bit more aggressive on supers. I think that's not a bad gamble, to be fair. Start will be key, first few laps will be key, first stint obviously will be key for Danskar if he wants to try and make that work. And then Speed Iceman and IRT Smudge are going to be on the medium, so they're going to go extra long into this race then. You're looking lap 20-ish, maybe lap 19, but again, if you're on softs, you know, go to lap 16 or so, 15, 16, put the super softs on, you should be able to go to the end. And then vice versa for the guys on supers, go to lap 11 or so. Although I have experienced myself the tyres kind of losing a bit of grip around lap 8 and 9-ish. So again, it does depend how much you've taken out of them in qualifying, how well you can manage them in the race. If you're in traffic, can you do some managing there? Fuel and ERS are big components here, and again, how much fuel you have on your car is also going to kind of determine dictate kind of rather your tyre wear for this opening stint, because the temptation obviously is to fuel big, and you're expecting to be on the throttle for a lot of this race, because obviously the nature of it, you're on the throttle for most of this lap. I think it's like 70% of this lap is on full throttle, so it makes sense why you would fuel up kind of you're fighting other cars or defending from other cars. Vice versa, there's a lot of elements at play. Basically, if you've got nothing else from that formation lap rant or kind of dialogue, there's a lot of play here that comes to this. So a long run down to turn 1, which you could actually argue is a disadvantage for Don Rajib. So if Dan, Uwatmate, Pinsky, they can get good starts, it is usually absolute carnage into turn 1, but we'll find out what happens. Let's go on board with Uwatmate as we head down towards the long run down towards turn 1 then. 27 laps around Monza, 5 red lights, and away we go. Looks like a good start for Don Rajib. He's going to immediately be covered there. Oh, there's a lot of weaving going on back there, but it looks like they're all heading safely down towards turn 1. Let's see how they navigate it. Don Rajib leading the way, and so far the contact between Uwatmate and Dan, but the rest seem to be getting through relatively clean. There's actually a few little bumps and scrapes. Oh, there's a car. That's not Petrick stuck in the middle of the track, is it? No, it's Ryan Berry, I think, by the looks of it. And that was a big bottleneck as Don Rajib leads them down towards the second chicane. King MJ up to 6th place already. He's made up 1 place off the start on Lord Elephant. How's the rest of the grid forming through to McLaren's? Oh, that's actually Iceman Cell going very wide. He's got the inside into the Lesmo on Bastos off the racing line around the outside, and still have it. Can he cut back in? A little bit of contact is going to really compromise, and MK Bourne's going to slip through then. So MK Bourne then getting ahead of Bastos. Well, Danskar, you would say this has been a good start for Danskar on the Super Sauce. He needed a good start, and he's got one up to 11th place straight away, and can have a look for MK Bourne then for a points pay position in this early phase. But at the front, good start from Don Rajib, helped cover him off from the rest. Even you want to protect yourself even at that stage with a late, just in case of a late dive bomb hitting through turn 1, as Uwatmate under a bit of pressure from Dan already. ERS I'll overtake, no DRS of course the first 2 laps as Uwatmate tries to cover the inside line. I wonder if Dan actually is just happy to stay here. Is he really trying around the outside into the chicane? Oh, a bit of late braking, and that's a beautiful move, and he'll position his car really perfectly, and he looks like he's going to get that move done. There's an R2 overtaking through turn 1 and 2. We'll see if anyone can crack it. I'll explain maybe as we kind of go on, but already a second up the road is Don Rajib on Pinsky, and then on Dan as well. So no reply then for Iwatmate as Sirlane is out of this race. Then where is he? Retired then? Oh, he's in the pits, I think, is it? There's a couple of people in the pits. Both Haas. No, I think actually both Haas's are in the pits, aren't they? So not the best start then for actually Force India and a Haas in the pits. Not the best start then for Johnny then from the back, and then Sirlane is out of this race as well. So no Patrick then. I did see a couple of wings flying. IRT Johnny's actually missing half his front wing. I think Monkey Make as well missing his, as Bastos then overtaken by Noel Patrick for P12 then. So a bit of a chaotic start down towards midfield, but at the front it's been fairly quiet. You can see there not a lot of change come when you get the dance car and the ice and kind of that kind of area where the big change kind of is. As then Noel then again, he's got by NK Born as well, same lap. He's going to fight down the inside. No, so that's another place then for Noel Patrick, who is on the supers, I believe, as well. So having started inside the top 10. As now DRS is now enabled, and Lord Elephant's on having a little sniff on the back of King MJ. This is kind of bottlenecking a bit here, isn't it? There's all within a second each other, but from Dan, Iwatme, Suleiman, King MJ, Lord Elephant are all within a second, and that's not too far behind either. So not a bad race from him so far in that Toro Rosso, but a long way to go. I think it's important for Dan to break if he can. Bit of DRS get close to as much as he can to breaking DRS. We're getting back within it as Ryan Bair looking to put a move on LRT. Johnny, we know, has got wing damage, but at the front here, actually, it's Pinsky who is now stuck within, who is kind of in DRS range now. The Renault behind, and they're only going to gain an advantage on him. So again, DRS change are kind of frequent around Monza as well. You do need to be kind of gearing yourself towards straight line speed if you want to have a go, because again, it's so easy for DRS trains to form, and that's a 3-second penalty for Pinsky already. So lap 3, not what you want, and that's a good run out of Ascari for Lord Elephant. No DRS down this back straight heading on to Parabolica, but heading down the main straight for the first time then with DRS should be an interesting situation. How a bit of a twitch at the back end for King MJ. How is that going to compromise him as Dom Rajib again sets the fastest lap of the race? It's going to be surely an overtake for the Mercedes. So despite the DRS of the Ferrari in front, he's gone defensive. He's got to force Lord Elephant to go around the long way through turn 1, late braking. We'll have the inside for turn 2. Oh, there's a big contact there. I'm amazed there's no wing damage for either one, but King MJ still don't have the inside line. Coming through the curve of Grande, and Dan actually looking to put a move on Pinsky. Then this is for P2, heading out of the curve of Grande down towards the second chicane, down the inside, bit of a lock up, and still has the inside, more contact. The Speed Iceman then, and it looks like he's left the session. So Pinsky holding on to that P2 for now, but this is all allowing Don Rajib to pull away at the front. He's almost got a 3-second gap already, and see then if the Renault then can try and make another move at this Williams. As they head down towards Ascari, we have a dangerous overtaking opportunity though, unless you're well down the inside of a car, and as is Dan here. Ooh, Pinsky tries to hang around the outside, he's onto the gravel, and then it allowed Dan to cut back on. Iwatme is actually into the mix here as well as Lord Elephant and King MJ. Actually, Lord Elephant's actually got by King MJ, but we're looking at the battle for second place, as Dan will have to go around the outside of Parabolica. Can he make the corner? Looks like he can, but he's put himself in an awkward spot, because I think, will Pinsky have DRS? He will, so this could be only temporary reprieve, and Iwatmate is right here as well. Should it all kick off, and Dan could be a sitting duck here on the straight. Iwatmate picks up a great tow from both Renault and Mercedes powered in that Williams, but has to back off the throttle, because literally he would have run into the back then. That's going to allow Suleiman to get into the fray here as well, and a poor turn 1 and 2 for Pinsky has allowed Dan to escape, and now surely Iwatmate is going to try and shape a move to head down towards the chicane of turns 4 and 5. We have a dive. No room on this occasion. Bit of a lock up for Pinsky, but no room for this time for the Force India, and I think that could be XCI Dan and safe in that P2. He's just about to break DRS, but he's now, yep, there it is then, just within that line. I think he did break it, and now Pinsky could be a sitting duck then as they head towards then Ascari. But it looks like the Force India is just a bit too far back to make a move on this occasion. Again, generally speaking, Ascari is a dangerous overtaking place because the nature of the corner and kind of the speed you're taking into it is quite dangerous. That's a very, very wide exit there for Iwatmate, and he's got Suleiman behind him. Actually, I think he's going to be looking to defend more than attack heading off of Parabolica. Let's find out. So Pinsky could be handed a little reprieve for the time being, as King MJ looking to try and get back his P6 from Lord Elephant. But here we go then, the back of the rear wing flying open then on that Haas. Similarly on the Force India, but let's see if there's enough straight line speed difference. And Lord Elephant looking like he wants to have a go as well. Such as a straight line speed. Look, he's going to have a launch from the outside of turn 1 into turn 2. And he defends that position. Has he? Because Sulman's actually lost his front wing. I was wondering where the Haas disappeared to. He's lost his front wing. It must have been on the exit then. And now then, as Lord Elephant and King Enjo up a spot then. And that's a big shame for the Haas driver, because he was right there on the back of Uwapmage for P4. As King MJ then picks up a penalty then for P6. That's not what he wants to see on lap 6. That's a very early penalty indeed. There's a couple of penalty areas you can't get pens. We'll kind of go through them on this lap, as you can kind of see. Turn 1 and 2 not so much. Turns 4 and 5 you could definitely get pens through there. Actually, that's where it's most frequent, actually, apart from, I would say, this Ascari complex. Entry, exit. Again, 1 and 2, very easy to make a move. Oh, Uwapmage's onto the grass. He's going to hold the position. He's going to hold the stability of his car, but he's not going to hold the position, as Lord Elephant and Uwapmage then sailed through heading towards Parabolica. So he did manage to keep control of the car, but did lose two positions in the process. Could have easily ended up with a lot worse, to be fair. And it is the corner where, if you have rear tyre issues, in terms of where Sulman comes into the pits, then if you have rear tyre issues, it'll definitely be highlighted through that quick Ascari complex, especially because given the nature of speed you're travelling, you have planted rear end, and if the tyres are going on you, then it's going to be the first place you're going to see it go. But he's now lost 2 positions. It's been a good start then for Lord Elephant then, and King MJ actually has, despite the penalty, he's up 2 places from where he started. So, or is it just 1? He's up 2. So all things considered, it could be a lot worse for the Ferrari, though. He does have that penalty to contend with, which I'm sure will play a part later on in this race. But at the front, meanwhile, Don Rajib is just kind of sailed away here, 3.3 seconds ahead of Dan, who's now 2.2 ahead of Pinsky then in third. And Lord Elephant, I think, is just beginning to creep a little bit closer, is he, towards the DRS range of that Mercedes. Kind of further down the field, you've got Noel Petrick then on Iceman Sella, kind of closing in a bit with DRS, softs against Supers still. At this phase of the race, the Supers probably will be the better tyre for now anyways, but it won't be too long, as a bit of a twitch then. Actually, both of them had pretty poor runs out of Ascari. I think Noel did a good job to save that, to be fair, because that could have been easily, if you have an accident heading towards your left rather than to the right out of Ascari, then there's a lot less time to correct, a lot less track to correct it. But not too bad for Noel on that occasion. He's able to save it. But now he has DRS and again this lap, as does Uwapmage on King MJ. That's going to be a sailing by then for P5 before India taken back then that position from the Ferrari that had lost out of the Ascari, out of the Ascari chicane, and then Lord Elephant then making the move on, not yet on Pinsky rather, but still closing in. And he was a second behind the last lap, and now he's less than a second. So that Williams, I think, is struggling a bit. That was a nice clean exit out of that chicane actually for Lord Elephant. So there's a good run as well actually for Noel out of that chicane down the inside into the first Lesmo. Can he get that move done? Has to leave the space. Looks like he's got through though, so that is Noel into 7th place, and Noel's actually been driving pretty well. There was that kerfuffle at the start where a lot of cars were involved in, but he's sliced his way through the field very well. As Iceman Saladin, I think, is he recovering to the track? He is, because there goes MK Bornan swooping by down towards Ascari. So MK Bornan takes back that points paying position then from the McLaren. That's a tough one for the McLaren. He was making good headway on those softs, and his progress has just been disrupted a bit with that little moment out of the second Lesmo. So 6 tenths in the gap between Lord Elephant and Pinsky. I think that's just going to be a little bit too far then to make a lunge to get close enough. Even with DRS, it's just a little bit too far back before turn 1, as King MJ similarly kind of in the same boat with Uwapmage, a bit too far back, even with DRS, a bit too far back to try and make a move on this occasion. So they're kind of spread out a little bit now in the field in terms of kind of if there's a car within DRS, it's a little too far away to make a move with DRS, and then conversely then you've got gaps where 3.4 actually, to be fair, Dan has actually caught, but he's taken a second out of Don Rajiv, so maybe there could still be something on there for the front. We'll keep an eye on that, but at the moment it is about Lord Elephant on the back of this Williams and Pinsky, who's kind of has settled down into the race a bit, but he does have a penalty, and just given his form in the season, you kind of know there's a mistake in Pinsky, or there's a penalty as well, or a few penalties to come. Is that consistency? Like, he can get himself up into a good position, but it's that consistency to kind of bring it to the end as such. And here's a good run for Lord Elephant out of Ascari. Will he wait, or will he just get the overtake done now and just hope to have enough straight line speed? If he was, I would actually, yeah, I think he has taken a sensible approach. He's actually taken a deliberately wide entry into Parabolica not to get by, and we'll just use the DRS then. And they're actually both heading into the pits this lap. That's a surprise. I thought one of them was going to carry on, but they're both in. So the undercuts then, could you call them undercuts from that position, given they were 3 seconds behind? They have, either way, they are the first in of the leaders. Medium tyres for both of them. So that's an interesting call. I think we're going to see people do go from the supers to the softs, and I think you're going to see significant tyre advantages to be had in the second phase of this race. We'll find out then how far these guys at the front can take these supers. So 6 7 tenths separating King MJ from Uwapmate, and Noel Petrick's then actually gone into the equation here as well. So some really good pace being shown by that Red Bull, and that Ferrari again trying to find a way past Uwapmate. That's going to allow Noel just a little bit closer, and actually if he gets a good run out the second Lesmo, could be in the great shout then to maybe have an overtaking opportunity at that Ferrari. Let's see then as he head towards Ascari. He's going to be reeling him in, isn't he? So King MJ then in P4 for now. Noel, he go down the inside into Ascari. He's going to be late braking then, and he makes the corner, and that is the Red Bull into 4th place then, and possibly even with a chance to even get 3rd by the end of this straight. Great run out of Ascari. He's really flying, isn't he, at this phase of the race? When you go around the outside of Parabolica, rather, how late is his braking, or how determined is he to try and keep DRS? Anyways, Don Rajiv, oh, they're all pulling into the pits, aren't they? Apart from King MJ, they're all pulling in then. So Dan's in, soft tyres for Don Rajiv then, as well for XCI Dan. So that's a good call, I think, as well. What about Noel Petrick? There's a lot of people in the pits then. Soft tyres, it looks like, for Noel. What about King MJ? Where is he? He's actually carried on. So who else was in that little scrap? Uwapmate, soft tyres for Uwapmate as well. And so Pinsky is going to get by, but he is on medium tyres. Lord Elephant, same story, but they are mediums. Smudge then actually, I don't think he's actually emerging from a stop. He's trying to defend from Monkey Meg, so that wasn't a stop. But there you go. Noel then will appear in P13. Uwapmate then will be in P14, but they are on the soft tyres, so they are going to be having a look then. Oh, as is Iceman Sella having a look on MK Bourne. This is for a legitimate position because they are on a similar strategy, both on soft compound tyres. Beautiful move from MK Bourne then. I think he was the one behind heading into that second Lesmo, but and he has got DRS. Has he? No, neither have DRS, but the overspeed from Iceman Sella. We go around the outside of Ascari, has to leave the space. Good job, good racing. The space of that nice clean racing through Ascari. It's a difficult part of the racetrack to go racing side by side. That's a Ferrari going very, very wide. That's Bastos, who is on medium tyres, who I think are seeing better days, I think. As Noel Petrick gets by Monkey Meg, and King MJ then into the pits. So he went one lap further on those supers. Let's see where that leaves him into the fray. I think it's a very congested lane, as MK Bourne a bit too far back on Iceman Sella to make a move on this occasion. Then so where is the effective race leader? It's Don Rajiv. So Don Rajiv then moves by. He's in 6th. XCI Dan in 7th. Where is Pinsky then? He's jumped him as well. Where's Noel then? Noel's the big one then. Noel has jumped him then. So a decent little gap then, isn't there, at the end? So that's what the undercut was worth, rather. And the force into, if you want, maybe going to try and make a move down the outside, heading into turn 1. Fresh tyres, of course, for King. He's going to get them up to temperature, whereas Uwapmate will have his up to scrub. And there you go, then he moves up into P13. So King MJ then's got a lot of work to do in the second phase of the race. He is on softs, which is same to be said for Uwapmate and Noel Petrick, but there is possibly some places to be had as Noel gets by on the outside. Very nice move actually on the outside of the chicane on IRT Smudge, who was on mediums that he's carried since the start of the race. Can that group, that trio of Uwapmate, King MJ and Noel, can they get by Lord Elephant and Pinsky, who are on harder tyres? There's 2 positions possibly in the offing there if they can. Their advantage will be clear for the rest of this race. As look at this then, we got Johnny, there's Ryan Berry, Don Rajiv trying to slice his way through the traffic against guys with older tyres yet to make a stop. As Don Rajiv gets by Johnny then for P3, so trying to slice his way through the field without damaging his car. He's now into P3 then as Iceman Sella and Ryan Berry do come into the pits, and that's very early for a set of softs, so a set of mediums will be going on those cars. Surely that way they go. Medium tyres for both of them. It's actually Iceman Sella is actually initiated that undercut actually on MK Bourne. It's Ryan, the other Red Bull, who's actually done the same thing. Come in on the softs, then to put on the mediums. Oh, bit of contact into turn 1, a bit of clumsy one from Suleiman on Iceman Sella. As Bastos then gets by, there's all sorts of commotion. I'm sorry, there's all sorts of things going on in this race. It's absolutely helter-skelter. Bastos takes the lead of the race from MK Bourne, but it's a temporary lead. And the real race leader, who is Don Rajib, looking to put the move then on MK Bourne. Heading up towards the Scar. He doesn't need to take any risks here, although he has to be careful because Dan is not too far behind. Again, a lot of traffic for the two of them, but the upshot is that a 3-second lead at one stage for Don Rajib has now been sliced entirely then, as Dan is looking to get by his teammate then. Don Rajib moves to second place then, will surely by the end of this straight will retake his first position that he held prior to the pit stops. And he opens the DRS then. There it goes. And he'll dip into the slipstream, pull up to the right hand side. You can see on from the view of XCI Dan, who gets by MK Bourne, and that moves him into third place then. Ooh, almost a bit of contact between himself and the Ferrari in front. Still holding on, and actually MK Bourne trying to defend from ILRT Johnny, and this is for a legit position as well. Another penalty for Pinsky, that's not going to be what he needs. So same strategy then for this Renault powered, actually they're not Renault powered actually, because the Toro Rosso is Honda engines this year. Oh, it's contact between Johnny and MK Bourne. That's not a clean move. They managed to avoid penalties and damage, as no one's a bit wide there through turn 8, and he's already caught to the back of Lord Elephant already on the medium. So just shows you the advantage that there is to be had on the softs, and it's already paying dividend then for the Red Bull, as he's already within DRS range of the Mercedes. He's got a bit of a gap then to Wattmate and the King MG behind him, so just absolutely stellar pace from Noel. Really is putting in some great times. He could even be on with a shout with the podium actually. I think this actually this boils down to the podium battle right here between Pinsky and Lord Elephant. I think this is basically a podium battle, as XCI Dan then gets by Bastos then, and now he's free to set off in pursuit of Don Rajib for the lead of this race. 1.1 seconds is what he has to work with, although he may have to work with a Ferrari in the process of actually Lord Elephant. Oh, he's off, he's been contact somewhere, has been damage, and that Mercedes then will have to come into the pits, will he, to replace those tyres. So, and Dan is out as well. What is going on? So Dan is out. Where is he retired? I can see his car then in the off the runway there, off of turn 1. So no idea what has happened in the space of about 10 seconds between Lord Elephant and XCI Dan. But that is one of the title contenders then out of this race. We did see Bastos coming at a fair rate of knots behind him. Can only imagine that is what has caused that incident. Surely I need another view of it, or a view of it, because I didn't see it. But there you go. That's one of the title contenders out of the race. It's not just typical luck wise. You go back to look at an incident between another car battling for basically a podium position, then you go up to the front, and then when that happens, it's you miss an incident at the front, which is basically given Don Rajib the race win on a platter. Because basically, when it all boils down to it, Pinsky's in second place for the time being, but no, Petrick, surely we wanted to have a word about that very, very soon, as ILRT Johnny now has got a damaged front wing, still trying to fight with MK Bourne. I wonder if he'll peel into the pits then. No, he's going to carry on despite that damage, and he's going to have DRS as well. He's going to try and make this work. To be fair, if there's a track where wing damage isn't as bad as others, it would be this track. Down towards turn 1 and gets that move done, but can he hold it with that wing damage? The Lesmos are the big test for a car with wing damage, trying to hold on to a position. is where the downforce meets the kind of mid-speed straights as such, and kind of, you know, it's a mid-speed corner as such. Ooh, that's a bit of a corner cut there for both of them, to be fair, and only one of them gets punished for it in the end. You'll see what I mean, because it's kind of mid to high speed, these two Lesmos, and this is where you feel the most with your wing damage. So gets a good run, MK Born on Johnny, but is it going to be enough to try and get by with DRS? It's actually, might actually be safe. We'll see what he can do through the Scary complex early on the brakes. Doesn't want to take any risks as Noel Petrie then gets by Pinsky with a decent on the exit. No, thankfully not. And that is Nolan into 5th place, and I think that is effective P2 then for the Red Bull, though Williams have a go coming back. He's lowered his ERS, to be fair. So there you go. That is Nolan into 5th place from 9th on the grid, and that should become 2nd. And MK Bourne diving into the pits then for his stop on the soft compact tires. Probably put on a set of supers at this stage. They should get him to the end of this race. As Pinsky trying to fight back on Noel, trying to take back that position, but it's still holding on. And as Noel still holding on to that effective P2 then. So where are they at then? So basically, Pinsky's not in bad shape, because the longer this stint goes on, the more it does gear towards his softs. Your WAP mate still might catch him, but will he catch him with enough tire to overtake? That's another issue. King MJ is still 3 seconds back, so looking at kind of P4, P5 here between King MJ and your WAP mate. We'll see what they could do as Danskar then check out down the inside of Iceman Cell. This is actually for a point as Noel Patrick gets by LRT Johnny. Of course, we know Johnny's got wing damage, so no big issue there. And Danskar then is past Suleiman. Actually, rather, Suleiman's past Iceman, because Iceman's got damage then on the left hand side of that McLaren. So I wonder if he'll retire from this race. He's on mediums, have to pit for a set of soft, and that'll take him out of contention for any points paying position, surely, at this stage, as Pinsky then trying to put a move. Oh, Johnny goes very, very deep into Parabolica, and that will allow Pinsky through, and he'll move up into 4th place. And so all they're waiting on is just for the Ferrari of Bastos then to pit from 2nd place, as LRT Johnny does finally now make his stop. So, a bit of a topsy-turvy race, to be fair, but Suleiman could still be looking at some points. He's on the medium tyre, which he's been on for a while now. We'll put the DRS then on that Sauber then. Revin in 7th, there is an 8th gear. Down the inside into turn 1, can he make the move stick? Try to come around the outside. It's a bit of a loss at the back end for Danskar. That's going to allow Suleiman to pop through then to P8 then, so easy enough move in the end for the Haas. The back end slipping away from the Sauber there, and that is him into 9th place. Still in the points paying position, but there is Iceman Cell to contend with, although actually, to be fair, he has got the wing damage, so maybe not in this instance. So UAP Mage then hunting down Pinsky for P4, because you know Pinsky's got at least 2 penalties, which is going to count against him. So this is for a podium basically now at this stage for UAP Mage. It is for a podium. And he's getting closer with you. Well, he's within DRS range. He's 5/10, but closer to the point where he will be able to make a move heading down towards turn 1. Let's see what he does this lap. Puts it into overtake as Noel puts in the fastest lap of the race, as Bastos then does make his pit stop. So this is for a podium. Oh, bit of a clip on the grass for the wheels. That won't help. He's going to pull off the right hand side, down the inside into turn 1. Will he outbrake himself? Can he make the corner still? Oh, bit of a slide for Pinsky. And that's kind of slid into UAP Mate, and that's going to basically take away his P3 on track. And there you go then, 4th place then for Pinsky, and he's going to be lucky not to make it further, because he's got 2 penalties to contend with, and we know King MJ's got 1 penalty, so he is safe for the time being. But that gets with under 3 seconds, then all of a sudden it is not safe, as Danskar got very close to the back of Suleiman, but unable to take back that position that he had lost on the last lap, and is actually being reeled in by that McLaren at a vast rate of knots. And we have a look down into the inside of turn 4. No, decides to slide in back into place. With wing damage, that's too risky to make a move down towards turn 4. When you don't have the aerodynamics playing in your advantage, it's a tough one to make. So Bastian has actually emerged in 6th place on Supers. That's worked out very nicely for him. So it's just kind of showing you how kind of going along has really helped. Kind of he's avoided all the skirmish, the traffic. So it's worked out well, and he's looking at a very decent result. Then he will close up to the back. Well, he won't close to the back of his teammate, but he'll close up to his teammate in terms of gap. It's 14 seconds is too much to make, obviously, in the space of 8 laps, including the one they're on. But he can safely pull away from those behind him. Nas, Suleiman, Danskar, etc. They're kind of all within each other, and MK Born on a set of supers is going to be making some noise here in this last stint of the race. Firstly, on Iceman Cell, we have a look down into turn 1. Time is of the essence on this stint. A bit of contact, he will just have the better grip, better traction on the corner. A bit of contact and exit, but he moves up into P10 then. That is him free then in the points, and then he's going to pursue further opportunities, which are surely not limited then to Danskar, Suleiman, possibly even his teammate as well. Yeah, he could be even P7 on the cars there for MK Born. After all that, and Danskar actually is going to help him right away by running wide. Is he? It's actually Suleiman who's run wide, and that allows Danskar and MK Born to slip up into P8 then, P8 and 9. So another mistake then for Suleiman has allowed more cars through, and MK Born already looking to make the move on Danskar for P8 down the inside into Ascari, gets the move done, and that is MK Born continuing his activity. It's 3 positions in less than a lap for the Toro Rosso, and his teammate then is next, as Johnny then is pumping in fastest times. Sadly for Johnny, he is at P17 and will need a safety car really to kind of get back into this race. So unfortunate for him, but hey, at least you can see the pace was there at least in this last stint. Suleiman then on the back of Danskar. Would he get close enough to make a move into turn 1? No, not this time. His tyres are 4 laps older than Danskar, so it's a great run out of turn 2. This will allow shortly around the curve of Grande a chance for Suleiman to take P9 from Danskar as Monkey Maker retires from the session. I imagine that's through the Ascari. Around the outside, Suleiman's trying to get this move done. Danskar just positioning his car as he needs to, but on the drag race down towards the first Lesmo again, so force Suleiman to try go around the outside. Nothing doing there, but surely with DRS heading towards Ascari, this will be a simple move. We'll find out as he enables the drag reduction system. Heading up towards Ascari as MK1 gets by Nas, swoops around, and has Nas into P7. VSC is deployed then, so for that incident with Monkey Meg, a VSC is deployed. That kind of helps no one, because everyone's kind of made their stops, as Johnny now retires as well. Yeah, that kind of helps no one, because everyone's made their stops at this point, so it's just yeah, this changes nothing, I guess. If King MJ was a bit further back, not really, no real opportunity to make a stop there either, so nothing changes really from this VSC in terms of strategy, so we can get racing again soon enough. There we go then, we are under racing conditions once again. And this little battle then for P9 soldiers on, and now Ryan Berry's into the mix as well, goes down the inside on Iceman Seller. We know has got damage, and that is Ryan into 11th place. He could be looking at a points paying position here if things go according to plan. He's on the kind of the same lap old tyres as these guys, again all on mediums basically, well he's the same old as the car behind him. And now down the inside, Suleiman trying to get around Danskar on the outside this time of turn 5. Will he get this one done? Yes. Swooping around the outside of first Lesmo. He has finally got this one done, and Ryan trying to defend. There's Johnny on supers, who is going to be making some noise in this little group as well. So the points made this battle for basically 9th and 10th. It really is anyone's guess as to how we'll end up with in terms of penalties and tyres. But first up for Johnny is the Red Bull of Ryan. With a nice run out of the Ascari chicane, surely his first opportunity then will come. Suleiman being reeled in at a vast rate of knots by Danskar. Johnny tried to make things happen as well on the Ryan. It's all kicking off for P9. How is this going to end? Let's go on board with Johnny, shall we? Who's going to try and park in the middle of these two. That's a risky strategy. The gap is closing all the time. The bumper car's going. He's going to try and squeeze through, though. Nevertheless, he has squeezed through. He won't have the inside line, but he's going to have the racing line per se. And then he gets the move done. Soon a bit of contact on Danskar, and that's going to allow Ryan surely a chance to vault by the Sauber. So in the space of one lap, it's all gone wrong for Danskar. I'm sure he won't be too happy with the damage or the kind of contact that's kind of led to this situation. Down towards turn 4. Oh, big contact between Ryan and Suleiman, and Danskar trying to get back in front. So he's side by side with the Red Bull heading down towards the first Lesmo. There he goes. Can he make the move again? Very, very similar as they head towards the second one now. Who's going to be leading on the outside of this? Oh, bit of a squeeze, rides onto the grass, and Smudge then on Super is trying to squeeze his way through as well. He's got by. Ryan now will have to try and get by his teammate then as well. So it's absolutely mad stuff for the last points paying position. Oh, there's been contact between the two teammates. It's pushed Danskar wide onto the gravel of a Sky. It's going to allow Ryan then a chance to try and take these two positions back. Has to get off the throttle as to not run into car from behind. And all this is happening, and Lord Elephant is getting into the mix as well somehow. Despite everything, he's still here. And there are 3 cars squabbling in front of him. No points for this position yet, but could all end up that way soon when it's all said and done. And is he just going to breeze by all 3 of them? I think he is. Pulls over to the right hand side and gets by Ryan, gets by Smudge. Will he get by Danskar as well, or will he bide his time on this one? He is going to try and get his car down the inside. He's left the space. Oh, contact on exit. That's going to allow... Yeah, it's going to allow Ryan to just leap right through. So that's worked out very nicely for Ryan, but he's not going to... He's going to be still under pressure heading down towards the second chicane. That 24 of 27. Oh, it's all gone wrong, has there? And down the inside, he's going to try to make 3 fish. That's going to be tough. But somehow Lord Elephant has come out on top on all that. Smudge then in 13th and Ryan then in 14th. So there's been a lot of argy-bargy, a lot of contact between these guys. And I'm sure there'll be some complaints at the end of the race as Lord Elephant picks up a 3-second penalty. So all this has happened. And Suleiman is now 4 seconds ahead of this group. And Johnny is almost 10 seconds ahead of this group now. So goes to show you kind of how much this squabbling has lost in terms of time. But hey, thankfully we still have a race as Smudge says, out he's into the barrier, and I just saw briefly there he is, and there's Lord Elephant with him. So there you go. I mean, it was going to happen eventually, wasn't it? An accident between that group, and well, there goes Lord Elephant's chance. Very slim chances of points, and again in the race it's just all gone wrong for the Mercedes driver, and really has just left Dom Regime to do the heavy lifting for the Constructors' Trophy. That they're not winning. They're actually in third, I believe. So, and it's for reasons like that why they are where they are in the Constructors. But alas, about all you can do. As we do still have a little battle on track though for 8th place. Nas is under pressure then from Johnny, who's on supers, aging supers, but supers nevertheless compared to 15 lap old mediums. And this will be a fairly rudimentary overtake for Johnny. He moves by basically before DRS, and there you go then. That is him up into 8th place, and that will probably be the extent of his overtaking in this race, I'd imagine, unless he loses that position from Nas having ran onto the gravel. And there you go then, into 8th place goes the Renault. His teammate out of this race for a while now. After that, I'm guessing there is contact between himself and Bastos heading into turn 1, but it's a big moment in this championship. I guess as things have kind of quietened down, we can kind of take a look at the implications of this race, because at the end of the day, Don Rajib, I think, is going to take home the full 25 points after all said and done. As he rounds Ascari for the second to last time. So what will this do then? 25 points for him would... Well, where's King MJ? He's 12 points behind King MJ, who is in 5th place. So he's getting 15 points at the moment. Not sure what penalties with Iwatmate, or with Pinsky rather, if that will change. But I think he's still safe unless Pinsky picks up a third penalty in the process. But although I guess I should hold the horses on that. I think no does have a penalty, to be fair. I guess we could confirm that now before we get too far into this. Yeah, 2 penalties, so no point debating whether, because he is catching, because Noel has definitely caught Don Rajib a bit this last lap or two, but no real point. There's plenty of penalties to be applied here. So at the moment, I think Don Rajib is going to take a 3-point lead in the standings heading into the next round at USA over King MJ, who will push. What did he push? He was 3 points ahead of Dan, so obviously gaining 10 points this race, then put him 13 points ahead of XCI Dan, and by extension of that, I think that puts Dan how many points behind Don Rajib? 25 for the win. It puts him 19 points behind, I think. My quick maths off the top of my head. I'm not too sure, but anyways, Don Rajib is actually getting close to the final corner. Parabolic. It's been pretty easy for him, hasn't it? He's done everything he had to do. Yeah, good race for him. Got pole position, obviously, and yeah, it's kind of been smooth sailing from there. So Don Rajib, your winner of the Italian Grand Prix, and that will take him back to the top of the standings, I believe, once it's all said and done. No, Petrick will finish in second. Pinsky will not jump anywhere. Iwatmate will finish third. King MJ then is going to finish in 5th place. So another disappointing result for the now no longer championship leader. And he's almost jumped by his teammate in the end. 7/10 the gap between himself and Bastos. MK Bourne's going to come across and finish in 7th then. Good drive from him in the end. Johnny then will come and finish in 8th. And Nas will finish in 9th, and then actually Nas will jump up to 8th actually from ahead of Johnny then in 9th, and Suleiman will finish 10th on track. Will that last? It will, because Dan's car's got penalties, and then you got the rest to follow. Iceman, Sella, Ryan. Lord Elephant already finished. He's a lap down, and then Ryan I believe will be the last one then to cross the line, and that will end proceedings here in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Let's see then where see if as we wait for the Ryan to cross the line, anything in the Twitter chat just to see if anything goes down afterwards, any post-race drama. I don't think so, but plenty to talk about. I'm sure plenty of the stewards will want to have a look at as well, but it looked like it was all game over, wasn't it, from Austria for everyone really in the championship run, especially Don Rajib. But now after that, has he won? This is his first win since Spain, I believe, and a very welcome one. 3 podiums in a row then, and he's back in the top step and back on top of the standings with 3 races to go. Though it really is anyone's game at this stage. Dan, although he lost a lot of ground today, you know, with that retirement, he's still close. He's kind of lingering. He's in the hunt, but he's on the back foot a bit. So Don Rajib that wins from first place. No, Petrick from 9th then ended up in 2nd. Iwatmate stayed as he started in 3rd. Pinsky then fell out in the end in 4th. King MJ then, all things considered, not a bad result in 5th, considering where he was. Bastos then his teammate in 6th. MK Bourne 7th. Nas in 8th. IRT Johnny he did well, to be fair, to get to the 9th from 17th. Suleiman in 10th. Danskar 11th. Iceman in 12th. Ryan Berry 13th. Lord Elephant then in 14th. Then rounding out the finishers, we lost Speed Iceman, ILRT Smudge, Johnny, Monkey Meg, Dan, controversial I think from this race, and then Sir Lane very early on from this race. So that's your lot for round number 8 of ILR6 here at Monza. Next up for these guys is USA next week at 6:30, but for Inside Line Racing you can catch again hopefully another very entertaining race of ILRs 4 and 5, same channel, in about 20 minutes or so. So you get great racing here at Monza, and hopefully that will continue through ILRs 4 and 5, and of course throughout the weekend as you get through ILRs 1 through 3. So that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and until next time.